You're tuned in to Wrestling with Weight with your hosts, Sam Amato and Mike Body. Podcasting to help you win the biggest match of your life. It's you versus you. Tips, stories, and more from the world of health and professional wrestling. Ring the bell.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wrestling with Weight podcast. This is episode 2. I am Sammy Smiles.
I am Mike the Body. Thank you so much for tuning in. I just want to know, Sam, what's on today's card?
You got it, bro. To open up the show, we're going to be talking about the Wrestling with Weight challenge. It's you versus me versus you. Who is going to be the first champion to be crowned for the Wrestling with Weight title?
Hopefully it's me.
Right. Second part of it, we're going to talk about how it's been going for the last couple of weeks between you and I during the challenge. Then we're going to talk a little bit about this month's pay-per-view, or what the WWE is now referring to as their premium event, the Royal Rumble. Big event we all love. We're going to get into that, talk just a little bit about what we expect for this year.
Maybe what's your favorite moments?
Yeah, easy. And we're going to finish up our main event. We're going to have our special guest, our very first guest.
Local
She's
business owner.
A local business owner and a health and wellness aficionado, Fara the Exterminator Albano.
All right, Sam, so let's start things up. I want to let everyone know about the challenge here. Let's go.
All right, so Mike and I linked up last year, and we decided that a podcast is a direction that we wanted to go. Mainly because we were looking for some motivation, right? So you were looking for a little extra motivation. You've been coming to my studio here at Way Better You in Everett. And so we've been working out, and I needed a little extra motivation. So we decided that we were going to start this podcast. Then our brains exploded.
Yeah.
And then we said, let's do a challenge,
yeah.
Right? Let's do a challenge
what
between
better way
you
to
and
start
I.
off a podcast?
Exactly. Let's do a challenge between you and I before we put a challenge together for our fans or the community, the people that are making part of Wrestling with Weight. So this is how it's going down. We already know January starts what? The road to WrestleMania. WrestleMania weekend is April 2nd. So, Mike, you and I are in a challenge to find out who can lose the most amount of body fat, not just weight, the most amount of body fat from now until WrestleMania weekend. And the winner becomes the first ever Wrestling with Weight champion. And we're going to make a belt. And that belt will then be passed on to the next person who wins the first challenge, the inaugural challenge, or who decides is going to, face you for the belt.
Right, but keep in mind, Sam, no matter which one of us wins, we're both winners because we're both going to be healthier. Number one, number two, whoever follows along with us and takes this journey, they'll be winners also. We want you to follow along at home. Whoever's listening, take the journey, take the weight loss with us.
That's what losers say. I'm looking to win. I want to win the belt. No, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right. It is a beneficial. Everybody wins, but honestly, what better way to make improvements in your overall health than by putting yourself in a challenge? And, right now we're in the Way Better studio in Everett, and I'm looking at the Winged Eagle, and we've posted that on our Instagram and our Facebook, and we said it was our favorite belt. But I'm certain that the Wrestling with Weight Championship belt is going to become our favorite belt.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially when it's done. So let's talk a little bit about how it's been going for us. Mike,
I'll go over my last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about what's going on. Obviously, I know, but
right.
I think it's important
Let me share
that you
with everybody.
Yeah,
100%. So I started off this challenge January 1st. We weighed in. The first week of the challenge, I changed my diet completely. I went from eating greasy foods every night of my life, eating unhealthy snacks at night, to really changing my diet, taking in more fiber, drinking more water, and I could not make it to the gym at all that first week. However, because of my job, I am very mobile. I'm a custodian. I walk a lot of steps. So just by walking and changing my diet, I did see a change in my physical appearance. Now, unfortunately, some of that was stress because my uncle did pass away during the first week of January. And
my condolences to your family. Obviously, I already said that, but
100%.
on air, let's just make it.
No, thank you. With that said, I did well with the diet up until, after the wake services, we went out, we got some food. So I ended up eating unhealthy for the first time that evening.
And I'm just going to reference where you went. Where did you go to eat? You were with
the largest Chinese food. I think the number one grossing Chinese food place in the country. I do believe that's going to be Kowloon's.
And so the reason why I wanted to bring it up
Saugus.
is Kowloon is like a huge wrestling,
Oh,
mega
100%.
wrestling.
When they're in
like
town,
appearance
they
place.
go to
Right,
eat
right.
at Kowloon.
And so the fans tend to kind of gather there and hoping that they can get a look at some of their favorite stars because they know they're going to be there.
They didn't know Mike the Body was
No,
there.
they didn't. You got lucky. You definitely got lucky. So you were with your cousins and you guys
Yeah,
ate, and then
100%.
you had told me that you had eaten some other stuff after that too.
Because the next day was the funeral services, and after the funeral services, we had some nice Italian food at Spinelli's in East Boston. And then after that, I went to see Dave Attell at the Wilbur Theater, and I got some dinner because I was already off the wagon. So with that said, we had our first weigh-in.
Right. So it's been 2 weeks
It's been
since our first
2
weigh-in.
weeks since our first weigh-in.
And let me just mention that we are using a scanner that most people don't have access to, but it's called Fit 3D scanner, and it does a full body scan, giving us measurements from head to toe, gives us an estimated body fat percentage, and it also gives us our current weight. So we're going to be able to use that information to give us a real image of how much we have lost and how much we're improving along the way. So it's not something that we're going to be using every single day to be doing a weigh-in. So Mike and I decided that every 2 weeks is a good time to do the scan itself. Now, if you have a scale at home, perfect. Use the scale that you have at home. But you want to try to stay on the same piece of equipment. So if you're weighing yourself at home, keep weighing yourself at home because every scale is a little bit different. And Mike, you had even mentioned that because you said that you weighed yourself at home and then you came and weighed yourself here and they were a little bit different.
Yeah, and that will disappoint you folks because my house scale still said I was down 8 pounds, and I was jumping up and down. I was very happy. And then I came here for the weigh-in, and I'll be honest with everyone, and it's part of the journey, and it's okay. This is going to happen to some people. I did start the weight loss challenge at a different weight, and I did gain weight the first 2 weeks here. It is what it is, but I'm looking to get back at it.
You'll get back at it. And just like you said, you were eating food that was
Sodium.
high in sodium, right?
And carbs.
So exactly. Sodium itself, or salt, tends to make people retain more weight, water weight. So if you're eating a high sodium diet, you end up being kind of fluffy, you end up being bloated, and so adding a lot of water to your diet is going to help you flush that out. And I know you're going to be flushing it out.
Right. Now, Sam, tell me about your past 2 weeks. What has your journey been since you started this challenge?
So I've been really, really focusing on simplifying my day because I spend so many hours here at the studio. Just like you, my day is active, but I'm kind of like, I'm not as active as I should be. And I'm active in the sense that I'm coaching and I'm here helping people with their journey and making sure that their form looks good and stuff. Right. But I haven't focused enough on me. And so part of this challenge.
Eating habits?
Oh, yeah. And so obviously, making changes is not easy, but this is not my first rodeo. I've done this before. And so for me, it's just been planning ahead a little bit more. So I went to the grocery store similar to you, but because I'm here, I'm not really cooking that much. So I brought myself some rice that is already pre-cooked, and I just throw in the microwave. I've got eggs because I've got one of those egg.
Is that white rice? I'm just curious.
I have a mix. I have some white rice, and
Yeah.
white rice isn't so bad for you, especially if you're going to use it pre-training or some post-training. The problem with rice a lot of the times is people overdo it on the rice. They're not measuring, right? So these pouches come in serving size. So there's
you're
two
all
servings.
set, ready to go.
Right. So I just cut in half, and I already have a serving measured out for me. I end up eating it with like a packet of tuna that's been in water, or some boiled eggs, or I make myself a protein shake. And then when I go home, I'll have myself like a whole meal, right, where we're having vegetables and some proteins, and I try to keep my carbs low towards the end of the day. But just simplifying things for me, because I'm not much of a cook, I don't have much time at home, and I'm kind of on the go all the time, has been the biggest change for me. Now, most people think that you need to work out all the time. That's not true. You should be working out, especially if you're trying to gain muscle. Strength training, you benefit from 3 to 4 days of strength training a week, right? Mm-hmm. Cardio is going to help you burn calories. It's not going to really help you build a lot of muscle. If you're just getting started with your walking, you're going to build muscle because your body's not used to the conditioning or used to the training. But diet is 80-20, 80% nutrition, 20% training, right? And you're going to see the biggest differences in the way you eat. You're going to lose weight just by eating right. So I didn't have the same challenge you had. So my gains were a little bit easier to make because I was just making sure I was eating right, and I was only concerned about.
How did you do on your first 2 weeks of the challenge, then?
So I dropped 11 pounds in the first 2 weeks, which is great. And then after we did our weigh-in, I shared a cheeseburger with my wife with some fries, and then the next day I spent sitting on the toilet seat. My body wasn't liking it, bro. I don't eat a lot of greasy food, and that just made me sick. Yeah. You know, it didn't feel
Especially
good.
after you've been eating healthy for a while, then you go ahead and put that cheeseburger in your body, you realize your body's saying, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah,
you know?
It doesn't like it. And so I've always drank my coffee black. I drink plenty of water. I love seltzer water. I love greens. I love ground meats. I love simple stuff. Sweet potatoes. I love pizza. It's not a regular thing for me. I do. I love tacos. Not a regular thing for me. And I love barbecue. Not in the sense of like barbecue sauce on everything, but I love grilling
on the
meat.
grill.
I love that stuff, you know?
Dude, forget about it.
And the big challenge is my wife is 7 months pregnant. And so she's not doing a lot of cooking. Luckily, my mother-in-law is visiting here from Brazil, so she's doing some cooking. And so I'm getting some healthy options at home. If I go home and I don't like what I see on the plate, which generally doesn't happen, but if for whatever reason we're eating something that I don't deem healthy enough for me at the moment, I will find something else to eat. Generally, my go-to is eggs because it's cheap protein, easy. Make a couple of egg whites with one whole egg, and I keep it going. So my goal for the next 2 weeks is to continue what I'm doing, but adding more strength training to my regime and making sure that I'm getting my cardio in too.
Awesome, Sam. It all sounds good.
What about you? What do you got going on for the next 2 weeks? What are your goals for the next 2 weeks?
Next 2 weeks for me is just to cut some more weight. I'm going to be doing some strength training as well, maybe some spin. I really enjoy spin class, and I do a lot of yoga just to mentally reset.
And you had a great strength training class today. We did legs.
My legs are killing me.
It's been a while since you've done legs and came and did legs with us today. I'm going to do my leg workout in this afternoon. But in general, I think we're doing really well. If you have any questions about what you should be doing, don't hesitate. Message us on Instagram. It's the Wrestling with Weight podcast. Or you can find me at Wrestling with Weight, or you can find Mike at Mike the Body Body on Instagram as well. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Fara the Exterminator here. I'm a local Boston-based pest control company. Female-owned and operated. We do it all. Commercial, residential. You got insects, you got rodents. Call us, 617-816-5004. We just don't kill people. Check us out at theexterminator.com. That's EXT-herminator.com.
You're listening to Wrestling with Weight. Now back to your hosts, Sam Amato and Mike Body.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wrestling with Weight podcast. This segment here, we're just going to talk about some good old-fashioned wrestling.
Wrestling.
Sam, what are your thoughts on some good old-fashioned wrestling?
First off, I hate that they say wrestling like they're burying the business by giving it like a southern twang or an accent.
Well, originally I think that was Vince McMahon making fun of the WCW promotion being from down south. But what aggravates me even more than that wrestling is when Michael Cole makes it a point to pronunciate the WWE. I don't know why.
It gets under your skin.
It's a little pet peeve. I don't know.
I've never really been a huge fan of Michael Cole. Nothing personal. I think he's talented and he's obviously really good at what he
Company
does.
man.
I don't know. I guess he's just never been my favorite commentator. Do you have a favorite commentator?
100%. That's Jim Ross. I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
Jim Ross to me, well, listen, if we're talking comment, it depends on the era. Jim Ross overall. But if we're talking teams, we got to go to Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby Heenan, Jesse Ventura.
I think the person that got me the most excited, especially when I was a kid, was Vince McMahon. Over the top! Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen!
1, 2, no! Kick off.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
McMahon was phenomenal. So, commentating is valuable, and it's like super essential to bringing a whole product together.
You tell the story.
Yeah.
Like Jim Ross told a story.
Jim Ross is the best. One
That's
of the best,
why.
right?
And his enthusiasm when he called a match, the integrity he brought, the emotion, it just completed the match. Without him during the Attitude Era isn't as good. To me. I
hear you. And I got to tell you, I've watched a lot of wrestling growing up, and Joey Styles from ECW was also one of my favorites. Obviously, a lot of the times he's a one-man show. He's just really good at it. Yeah. But let's get back to the topic at hand. The Royal Rumble. The WWE is doing away with the word pay-per-view for obvious reasons. They're not doing pay-per-view anymore.
It is dated.
It's now a premium service because you need to have the network. You need to have Peacock. So the Royal Rumble's coming up. Do you have a memory that really sticks out in your mind that makes you go, holy crap, this is the best Royal Rumble ever?
So, for my memories of the Royal Rumble, I have so many because I think the Royal Rumble concept in general is one of the greatest concepts you can do in wrestling, with a winner of a 30-man, sometimes 60-man, depending on the year and what they're doing. Over the top rope elimination, the winner gets a shot at the WWE title. Now, for me, one of my favorite memories was Bret Hart and Lex Luger. I think it was 1995 maybe, going over the top rope together, both landing on the outside, both feet touching the ground at the same time. You know how hard that must have been?
Yeah. I can't tell you, I'm not like a wrestling historian where I can remember dates like this, right? But obviously, everyone remembers the Royal Rumble where Ric Flair came back, and like that was a star-studded rumble. That was phenomenal, right? I'm also a big fan of watching the Royal Rumble every year to see what Kofi Kingston's going to do. What's his next stunt? What is he going to do? And obviously, he knows that it's become a thing where people are watching to see what he's going to do.
Forward to seeing
what is he
going
to do? How creative can you get with it next? And I went to the Royal Rumble when it was here at the Garden. It was phenomenal. Now,
Alberto Del Rio won that one.
From a professional wrestler's side perspective, right? And we haven't talked a lot about this, but I've been an independent wrestler since 2003, and I haven't had any in-ring action in about 2 years, since the beginning of the pandemic. But I hate Royal Rumbles. I hate being in them because a lot of the times the promoters put it together and there's not a ton of structure. They kind of tell you, okay, this is who's going out first, who's getting eliminated, who's going to eliminate, right? But when you're in there, it's a schmoz. It is ugly. There are guys that have no clue what they should be doing, and there are guys that are doing stuff like body slamming and suplexing and stuff. You're like, bro, did you even check to see if it was okay with everybody else? Is it clear? Because when it gets tight in there, you can't run the ropes, right? And so if you watch, I watch the shows sometimes, and I'll watch the Royal Rumble, and I'm paying attention to the little stuff. Who's punching who's moving where, how are they working? Because it's not exactly that fun. It is fun when it's good. But when you do these battle royals, a lot of the promoters put them together because people like them, and they become shit, and they're ugly.
You just nailed it right there. It's because people like them. Because of the fan perspective, it's entertaining, it's fun. Just hearing the countdown, 10, 9, and then the music hits.
All right, I got a memory that I popped for, and it was when Edge came back. And what got me popping was how the crowd went crazy. That shit gives me goosebumps. I love it.
Right, 100% one of those debuts. And that's actually another great thing about the Royal Rumble. You do have surprise entrants. Vince McMahon nowadays will go back, give you the boogeyman from maybe the Ruthless Aggression era maybe. Or he'll go back, give you Hacksaw might come down. You know he's not going to win, but it's just the point that he's there. It's just a fun event.
Yeah, it is definitely fun. And this year they have started opening up their relationships with these other promotions. They just did a spot with Mickie James. Mickie James is what? The Impact Women's Champion, right? So they brought her back, and she took part in the Rumble. It's exciting. Let's see what happens next. I'm just looking forward to watching the event, the premium event, not the pay-per-view.
Right.
And I can't tell you that I have a favorite to win it.
I would like to see what the fans think. Who do you think is going to win the Royal Rumble this year that's going to go to WrestleMania? If you're listening, I'd like you to comment maybe somewhere on our Instagram page. Let us know who you think is going to win the Royal Rumble.
That's a perfect way for us to end this. Who is going to be this year's Royal Rumble winner? We'll be right back. Hey guys, it's Sammy Smiles from the Wrestling with Weight podcast. I'm here to let you know that you're not alone. Weight loss, fitness goals, they're not easy. If you have goals in mind and not sure where to start, then hit me up. I run a personal training studio in Everett. We run group fitness, personal training, in person and online. For more information, visit me on Instagram and on Facebook at WayBetterU. It's WeighBetteru, as in the letter U. Or you can find me at my website at waybetteru.com.
You're listening to Wrestling with Weight. Now back to your hosts, Sam Amato and Mike Body.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for our main event of the episode. Welcome back to the podcast, folks. It is now time for the main event. We are super excited to have our very first guest on the show. She's a local. We love her. Ladies and gentlemen, Fara Albano.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be your first official guest.
And we're so happy that you're here joining us today. Fara, please open up by telling us and tell the audience a little bit about yourself. What was your life struggles and journey?
Well, I've pretty much, since I was a kid, had weight issues, to put it nicely. I was chubby. I come from an Italian family, as we all know. Yeah, and food is the center of what brings us together most of the time. So
Around the family table.
Yeah, I learned unhealthy, eating habits, if you will, and struggle with that a lot through my years growing up, and finally kind of was trying to get it under control around 2015. I was battling an eating disorder. And then what really kind of threw me into getting serious about it was I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2016, and that's what made me really get serious and buckle down.
Now, is that hereditary, that disease?
Yes, it is hereditary. My grandfather had it. It usually skips a generation. I do think now that I'm more educated on it, it has a lot to do with your lifestyle as well. So I think it's a combination.
Jeff family also have a history of obesity. And does obesity run in your bloodline? Were your parents obese? Are they obese?
Yeah, my dad is a 6-way bypass heart attack survivor.
Jesus.
So, and my mom was thick. My mom was thick in the buttocks region. So it definitely, we've all had pretty much struggles with our weight. But like I said, I mean, it's just, I think, they want to say it's genetics, but really what it is your habits are passed on from generation to generation. So that's why you tend to struggle, among, everyone in the family.
I can't agree with that more. How many times at my house did I hear my mom tell me to make sure I finish my plate? And then at the same time, I would overdo it and drink refreshments and beverages that I shouldn't be drinking.
Yeah, so much soda intake.
And just like you said, bad habits. That's kind of what got me in the same place where I was just eating stuff, and too much of anything is no good, right? So even if it was good for you or healthy for you, too much of it is not going to be good for you. Fara started training with me in 2015, and she had reached out, and we started building up this relationship, and I was there for there during the time when we were finding out about the MS. Tell them a little bit about how you started to find out or figure out that there was something that something wasn't right. What made you
symptoms?
What made you go and look further into it?
So, I mean, years leading up to it, now that I look back on it, I had a lot of kind of precursors to the disease, that I just wrote off as fluke kind of things. I had an eye twitch going on for a while, but that's attributed to nerves. My foot would fall asleep. I just thought it was because my sneaker was tight, things like that. But as the years went on, stress, if anyone knows about autoimmune disease, can trigger a lot of flare-ups. And I had lost a very close person in my life in 2016, and I think the stress from that triggered a lot of the flare-ups. So I had more serious things happen with my vision, and my whole arm went numb, and that's kind of what made me go to the doctor. And they don't want to send you for scans right away. And when the doctor said, I think we need to send you for an MRI, that kind of put my attention. Well, yeah, I'm saying, this is probably serious if they send to me right away. So that's kind of what led up to me figuring out what was going on.
Ever since I've known you, you've been a skeptic and you've questioned everything, right? Literally everything. You research everything. You try to find out more information. And I know that's not exactly how it started.
WebMD.
Please don't do that to yourself. You're not dying. You're okay, I promise.
You're okay.
But what made you start questioning? Was it the doctors? Can I talk about your mom too?
Yeah, sure.
So Fara's mom passed away from cancer, and I know that was hard for you. But was it your mom's situation that made you start questioning things, or was it something that happened later on in life?
So my mom is kind of what catapulted me into the initial questioning. My mom had stage 4 cancer that she was diagnosed with in 2002. She didn't die until 2008. So she had stage 4 cancer for 6 years. Usually that's like a death sentence and you don't last too long. what she did was she started following this doctor, Lorraine Day was her name, and the doctor spoke about how you had to become a vegan, you had to eliminate meat out of your diet. But it wasn't just the diet, it was like every aspect of your life. You had to work on your stress, spirituality. It was everything. It was a combination. And at the time, I thought she was nuts. She was going to Wild Oats, it was called. It wasn't even Whole Foods, getting wheatgrass shots daily and buying what's with the water? It's not purified. It's reversed osmosis water. And I thought my mother was nuts. But in hindsight, that's all the stuff that I do now and that I've adopted for my disease.
Are you currently today a vegan? What's your eating habits like today?
I'm basically pescatarian. I switched over to mainly an organic lifestyle with my food choices. I don't drink tap water. I drink bottled water. I'm trying to eliminate alcohol. So I'm trying to get rid of a lot of the quote-unquote negative, toxic things in my life, including men.
We're not included in that because we're all homies here.
No.
But thank you for keeping us in your life. We appreciate that. Talk to us a little bit about your journey as far as weight loss is concerned and what you've tried, what worked for you, what didn't work for you, and where you feel like you are in your journey right now.
So when I first met you, I mean, I don't know if you remember, but we were talking about I wanted to do a competition, fitness competition. I want to be a bodybuilder and all that. So that's how we started out. But then it kind of got sidetracked when I found out about the MS. So it went from more of like fad diets to, I've done everything under the sun, man. I've done keto, Weight Watchers, low fat, low carb, everything you can think of. But at the end of the day, the MS stuff kind of catapulted me into this healthy, just all around healthy way of eating. So you need to make it a lifestyle. It's because those fad diets they're good temporarily, but it's not a way of life. So you got to live. And as long as you're doing something, I think 80% of the time that's pretty right on, then you can have a little bit of fun.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself 20% of the time. And that's what I try to do now.
Tell me a little bit about how old were you and what was your heaviest weight? And if you don't mind sharing where you are now as far as your weight and your age.
So my heaviest was around 230. And I mean, I'm talking, I was young. I was in the eighth and ninth grade.
Beefy.
Yeah. My mom owned a sub shop in the sixth and when I was in the 6th and 7th grade, and I gained legit like 40 pounds that summer working at her sub shop because I was just eating everything that was there. Drinking regular soda, things like that. So that was my heaviest, was around 230, but I always was very hourglass figured, but I did carry it just in my hips and my butt. And then when I started doing the weight training, that's when things really started shaping up.
Tightening up.
Yeah. And so right now I'm about $145-ish.
What's your goals long term? Are you happy where you're at today, or are you looking to cut more weight or tone up more?
I don't even go by the weight anymore because especially when you're doing the weight training and you're putting on muscle, you don't want to get caught up in focusing on that scale. It's good to have a roundabout idea, but I just go by how my clothes fit me and the shape, So definitely I want to tone up. I guess you could say it's about 10 pounds, but I just do it, I don't try to fixate on it anymore.
You don't fixate on the scale, the number.
Yeah. And that's
how you feel is more important.
Right. It's worked for me. I mean, I consistently will lose about a pound or two. Granted, it's a year, but I'm not in a race anymore.
And you can attest to this, that it's not a downhill slope. You're not just getting on this weight loss journey and all of a sudden you're on like a snow tube and it's all the way down to the bottom until you reach your weight loss goals. There is this kind of ebb and flow. There's this up and down seesaw where you're going to be doing great and then you fall off the wagon, or you change some habits, or something happens where you see yourself either become stagnant, you may even gain a few pounds, and then you come back down. right?
For sure, yeah. I mean, I've had all kinds of setbacks, especially recently. I threw my back out. I slipped a disc, doing a box squat. 195 pounds. I was doing a box squat, and see you later. The rest is history. I've been out of it for a couple months now. But that's life, isn't it? You're gonna fall, and then you get back up.
Well, that's why we're doing this challenge again, because I fell many times. But it's okay to get back up and try to start over again and get back on track for that healthier lifestyle.
Yeah.
So tell me, if you had any tips to give to the audience, whether they be male or female, what have been the things that you think have been constant in your life, your lifestyle changes that are helping you with your current success?
Get yourself into a routine. I like to wake up early. I know some people think I'm crazy for waking up at 4:30 in the morning, but I at least need about an hour just to get my mind right before I come to work out. Just try to find the time. If you can even fit 15 minutes to move, to do something, that's a start. And then as far as a quote-unquote diet is concerned, start reading the labels, man. Look at all the ingredients that are in all these foods and get back to the basics. Get back to the more natural things that your body doesn't have to guess what it's digesting. And you put good stuff into your body, it's like a car. You're going to fuel it with good stuff, then it's going to run good. So that's my tip.
Great. Farah, thank you so much for being part of the episode. I'm sure this is not going to be the last time we have you on.
I hope
but
not.
We're super excited that you're the first person we had on. Knuck up. Here we go.
And that was a great interview. I appreciate your time today.
No, I appreciate it, guys.
That wraps up this podcast. I'm Mike the Body Buddy.
And I'm Sammy Smiles.
You can find us at the Instagram page at the Wrestling with Weight Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.